Hi guys, my name is Ashantin and I am playing Minecraft. I'm playing modded Minecraft and the modded version I'm playing is Fedron's Life in the Woods Renaissance, which is absolutely wonderful. If, as I do, you like beauty, plants, different biomes and things like that. Now, what am I doing today? Today is slightly different. This is a talking episode. First of all, I'm going to turn my game sounds right down. And the reason I'm going to do that is that I want to do a talk about why I am going to move, or rather I'm in the process of moving, from Apple to Microsoft. And one of the reasons I'm going to do this, well, it's several-fold actually. I'm one of these people who are actually, I'm going to work as I talk. I'm one of these people who are actually tech blind. Some people are colourblind. Some people have a complete inability to understand numbers. Some people, have no hand or eye coordination. It's just one of these things where people have different things that they can do, and the list of things I can do is quite good. But I am terrible, and have always been terrible, with computer tech. I don't know what it is. Maybe I overthink it. Anyway, the thing is, I used to work for other people. When I started working for myself, I realised that what I really missed was a very large, they called it an IT department, who come and sort out your problems. However, I used to sort out theirs because every time they wrote out a new program, let me put this on and I can see where I've got the need for light. And because I am totally tech blind, every time they wrote a new computer program, they would come and test it out on me, which is fair enough. And I could normally break it within about 3 minutes at the outside. And they kept saying to me, why have you done that? And I kept saying, well, it says so here. They say it's not what it says. And I said, it is. So anyway, I decided when I started working for myself that I had to be able to work computers. I adore spreadsheets. All my work is on spreadsheets, spreadsheet queen, I love it. But I started with Microsoft and I was finding it very, very hard going. I just couldn't get to grips with Windows at all. Anyway, long and the short was, one of my relatives said, for goodness sake, buy an Apple. That will sort you out, it's intuitive. So I bought my Apple. Brilliant machines. You buy them, you plug them in, they work. And they were so elegant, so beautifully intuitive. The iOS was wonderful. But every upgrade, it gets worse. Worse and worse, more and more complicated, less and less intuitive. The latest upgrade to El Capitano is a disaster for me for more than one reason. Spreadsheets, which are very important for my work. I use a lot of colour coding and sort of, format it quite nicely. The whole thing changed. It is horrible. It's no longer intuitive. The colours they offer you are harsh. The whole thing just went from being very simple, very easy for someone who works, into something really, really odd. And it irritates me. Photos are the worst. I spend a lot of time sort of tracing family history, getting photos together, organising them. Update to El Capitano, the entire photo organisation completely gone. All the methods of aligning photos, making the horizons horizontal, getting them cropped, gone. I phoned Apple and said, what the hell's going on? And they said, oh, we would advise you to download the app Photoshop. I thought, what? So I now have to download a different app. And all this is going on. Apple are moving to apps provided by others, fair enough, their choice. But if you want help, you can't go to one central source. You have to go to an app provider and you have to phone different app providers. The other thing I dislike intensely, where am I? Oh, I'm over here, was that I found out that when I bought a new Apple machine, and this was only last January, I found out that there was a facility for the apps to, I'll just do it this way, feed back information on you. And I didn't want this. And I didn't mind information going back to Apple because if the machine crashes, it'd be useful. And I found out that you can't turn off the, wow, I've gone through two spades. I found out that you can't turn off the feedback from the apps without turning off the feedback from the Apple. So the Apple itself relies, in a sense, on feedback from the apps, or put it this way, they are interleaved. So I turned the whole lot off as far as feedback went. And I thought, no, I'm not letting somebody measure everything I'm doing all the time. And the guys at Apple were very shamefaced. So basically, what used to be a beautiful, intuitive system, gradually over the years is becoming absolute rubbish. So some of the advantages are no longer there. There's always been the advantage that it is very, very secure, that people tend, or they didn't used to tend, to write viruses for apples. These days, I think people write viruses for anything, so you still have to be very careful. The main thing to me is that I started playing computer games in order to learn how to work computers. And it has been a fantastic way and a very, very enjoyable way of learning. But when you have an Apple, you suddenly realise that Apple really aren't into that sort of market at all. They actually take pleasure and pride in the fact that, their Apple support desk, they're not gamers. They're proud of the fact that they're not gamers. Oh no, we don't do that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, what? And when Microsoft bought Minecraft, which I love playing, and so does the rest of the world, I realised that Microsoft had, apart from earning a phenomenal amount of money, they had declared openly that they were gamers. They were for gamers. And they understood, which Apple don't, that if half the children in the world are playing Minecraft, I'm not saying half do, but a very significant proportion, and they start playing on Microsoft machines, and they're learning that, and they're getting into computer games. What children don't play computer games? The guys who don't afford computers, obviously, I'm not ignoring them, but the ones who do will all play computer games. They all play different games. They all play modded versions, and it's quite hard to get mods working properly in for something like Minecraft in an Apple machine. It really is. I'm playing a modded version here, and I suppose the real life equivalent to being on a machine is that this is held together with bits of string. The way in which I have to set up this game every time I want to play it is quite appalling. However, Microsoft suddenly said, we are a gaming channel, guys. Look at us. We own Minecraft. We like gamers. And all the good games are not written for Apple. They're just not. If I were Apple, I would have got together a whole, we will translate any game for you free of charge, and made it open for the developers and said, look, we're dedicated to this, we'll do this. No, no, no. They don't want to be associated with gamers. I think they think it's down market. I really do. I really don't think they like it. So all this, the inability to play the games you want to, inability to get help, at the end of the day, you think to yourself, why am I playing on an Apple? I can afford to buy a new computer. I'm going to keep my Apple for work because I've got it all set up, and I have years, well, not that many years, but enough to make it difficult to change, of spreadsheets, financial records, stuff like that, that frankly I'm happy to keep. On an Apple machine, I do think there is just a little bit of a more of a security issue if you're on Windows, but they're beginning to have their own Windows Defender, so they're looking at this. But you just come to the view that if you want to play computer games, there is absolutely no point in playing on an Apple. I'm not the only one that's thinking like this. A lot of my friends who play on Apples, they're beginning to see, to think about the same thing. That is, it's getting very popular. More people watch the esports finals than watch the Olympics. More people enjoy themselves watching computer games, watching other people play them. It's a really, really huge part of the entertainment business these days. But Apple are not interested. I'm not sure who they're actually making their computers for. Because it used to be, it's all for the creative types, if you are a designer, you need to have Apple and this sort of thing, which is fine. Where is some of the biggest creativity on the internet? It's in the computer gaming world, the artwork, the fan work, the content creators. Apple are completely not interested in this market, at least as far as I can see. All they seem to want to do is to sell Apple phones. And they're always all over my Twitter feed. Buy a new Apple phone, you can get stickers. And I'm thinking, you know what? This is absolute rubbish. What are you thinking about? Why would I want that? Why don't you give me something I want? Why don't you give me a really good game machine? Why don't you give me something that will play every single computer game I want? And why don't you stop faffing around and get me some software, make iOS what it used to be? But of course, nobody at Apple would ever listen to a gamer like me. So that's why I have bought a Microsoft machine, and I thought I would do a series of talks on what it is like to change. On that note, let's get the F1 off. Bye bye, guys.